I'm in a similar position too, because I've cut out a lot of that. I just want to wait and focus on myself. And I think the best way to train that to where you're looking for validation from women is to start to actually listen to them. And this really helps when you become sober. Stop drinking and then talk to a woman. And then you'll realize really quickly, whoa, there's nothing going on in your brain. I'm wasting my life talking to someone that I just want to rub my penis with. It's a waste of your life, genuinely.
That guy, 11.99. Maybe a stupid question, but I've been red pilled some weeks ago. Started hitting the gym. Lost 30 pounds so far.
Nice.
My question is, how can I cope with loneliness after cutting ties with female friends?
Can I speak?
That's a great question.
Can I speak to that?
So
first of all, let's use that phrase, drug of choice. As a man, your drug of choice can be many things. We're all searching for heightened states. Now, you can get that in low energy, low output, low effort ways or high effort ways. What are the low effort ways to feel good? Drugs, pornography, hedonism, video games, exactly. Scrolling on TikTok to get that dopamine fix. Or you can search for that higher state in things, in activities that involve effort. Prayer is one. I feel incredibly grateful and incredibly content every time I pray. When I pray with my brothers, even more so. Being fit physically, putting in the effort that way, you get massive endorphin release. Progress in your business, learning new skills. Your way to seek that heightened state, which we're all searching for, doesn't need women, friend. You do not need women. Get addicted to progress, get addicted to discipline. Search higher states in ways that require real effort, and that's a more sustainable, more healthy way to feel what you're looking to feel anyway, which is what, chase women or chase progress. That's a red pill statement, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard this. I don't know if this is pseudoscience or not, but I've heard that the difference between that true fulfillment type happiness and pleasure type happiness is happiness from serotonin and happiness from dopamine. So dopamine is sex, jerking off, video games, sugar, social media. That's
short
the
term
dopamine high, yeah.
Yep.
And then the serotonin, the fulfillment, the long-term happiness comes from accomplishing goals, great relationships with your friends, great relationships
Things
with your
that require
family,
effort, right?
Philanthropy, giving back, creating a community, helping others in need. So go for the serotonin type, the fulfillment happiness, not the dopamine pleasure, like the casino. You're pulling the lever and the lights and the drugs and all that. That's the dopamine high.
And I think
that's really good advice, man.
It needs to be talked about more. Young men today don't have anyone saying to them, you're going to feel good through low effort stuff or high effort stuff. The high effort stuff is the stuff that really will make you feel fulfilled. And I also, to all these young men saying, I feel lonely, do you really need women to feel good in life?
Yeah.
Really? As a young man building an empire, why are you looking for women for validation or for progress?
Super gay. So I'm in a similar position too, because I've cut out a lot of that. I just want to wait and focus on myself. And I think the best way to train that to where you're looking for validation from women is to start to actually listen to them. And this really helps when you become sober. Stop drinking and then talk to a woman. And then you'll realize really quickly, whoa, there's nothing going on in your brain. I'm wasting my life talking to someone that I just want to rub my penis with. It's a waste of your life, genuinely. And so once you start to reprogram your mind and stop to naturally entertain these pointless conversations about your astrology sign and about whatever just all the nonsense she talks about, you realize how disgusting it is. And it's really like, these are succubus creatures because you're giving away your time, your resources. You worked a long, hard day, and now you need to sit across from a table and pay for dinner from somebody who has nothing to talk about at all. You should be disgusted talking to these creatures and the fact that you need to be you need to get rid of your loneliness by talking to this person. Once you retrain your mind to become disgusted with that, like we're in Colombia right now, and I've talked to a couple of these girls, and it's just, now that I've reprogrammed it and now that I'm sober, talking to them is just like, I'm more misogynistic now because I don't even want to be around them. I thought I was misogynistic when I was spending time with them, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. And I was just trying to like invest my time to have sex with them. But now that I'm around them, I'm just trying to focus up and I'm on this incel wave. It's like, yo, go away, leech, succubus, jinn, away, stop for life. I don't want to be around them. So I think prayer and sobriety is the best step.
Well said, brother.
Yeah. No, I think what you guys said about, accomplishment is so important, man. But the thing is that you got to understand, guys, that competence leads to accomplishments, which then leads to confidence. And you need to understand that that's the trajectory of success, which will then lead to happiness. You're not going to get it through playing video games, through the short hits of the sugar and all the bullshit. You got to actually accomplish something. And the thing is, when you feel sad or lonely or whatever, a lot of times that's a manifestation of you not accomplishing something. And honestly, you should never... Women shouldn't be what makes you lonely. You need to have good men around you.
Well said.
That's where you're going to be fulfilled, because your guys are going to be there. Women come and go, but when you got a good set of friends, they ain't going nowhere, man. And you can identify with them more anyway. Like, your girl should be there for fun. Your guys are who you go to when you have problems, etc. If you have a good set of guy friends, you should never feel lonely.
And can I speak to that in terms of ROI? Lovely rant there, by the way, Sneaker. That was fantastic. Alhamdulillah.
I need to get that out.
So,
No, it's true, though. Damn, I was just speaking
beautiful,
facts.
beautiful. Our time on this planet is our major resource. It's very finite. What's the ROI of time that you're putting into a woman? You're putting in hours, and I call it being that dancing monkey at a date, pretending you care about whether it's a puppy charity or the fact that her hobbies include Netflix. It's nothing, right? Whereas if that ROI, there are a lot of men in the war room who I mentor. I can send someone 2-3 minute voice message and change their life for the better. You know, and I can coach guys through difficult times. Some people have had tricky divorces or they're going through sickness. The energy you put into helping your brother brings massive ROI, both in terms of you're helping them, but also if you have a certain faith, you're doing a good thing for humanity. What's the ROI in those hundreds of hours you put into speaking to a woman who you don't really care about, you just want to get naked with her?
Can I bring up an interesting counter argument to that?
Well, I'd love to hear it, mate.
it. So,
I imagine you put a fair few hours into these things.
So
That's why you hired Casey to do it for you, so you don't got to do it.
yeah. So you strike me as a guy who grew up naturally pretty confident in high school or whatever, primary school, whatever you call it.
I was a bit of a nerd, man. I
mean, everyone thinks they're a nerd, but like by and large, you were probably more confident and had better social skills than the average person, or no?
I was not lonely for
you were
attention
pretty
with
naturally
women.
pretty alpha, naturally pretty outgoing.
I wouldn't say I was alpha, brother. Like, the army made me a lot more of a masculine man. I grew up single parent household, blue pill, all that stuff.
So let me get to my point. I have either wasted or not, depending how you look at it, countless hours talking to dumb hoes in nightclubs. So the greatest journey, the greatest transformation I ever had in my life was the journey of cold approach pickup. For the guys that don't know, that means you go into a social environment, nightclub, house party, whatever, daytime, shopping mall, and you try to bring positive emotions and positive vibes to strangers, to girls, mixed sets to guys and girls. So you're over there, there's these cool people in Vegas partying, and you have to go up and make them accept you. It's kind of like sales. How can I go over to these people who already have their own fun, their own party? A stranger is gonna infiltrate that group, and by providing funny stories, good vibes, whatever other value you can provide, you're gonna make them accept you into your group.
You're talking about heightened social and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, so the same way that people dedicate hours upon hours into guitar or volleyball or coding PHP, whatever it is, I mastered my social skills by talking to stupid hoes in nightclubs and going up like, oh fuck, I feel nervous, I don't know what to say, I'm just, oh fuck, okay, here I go, and I just go in there and just talk to them and just vomit comes out. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, but overall I learned to be charismatic, how to make people like me. I can start a conversation with strangers now pretty easily. I can, talk to you folks pretty well, pretty confident. So what would you say there? I mean, that's a lot of hours. Are they wasted hours?
Yep,
or?
I'd love to speak to that. So definitely, I can see how the pursuit of women can lead to increasing your social and emotional intelligence. I've never done cold approach, but I'm also able to go into a group of people and create that rapport, those positive emotions. So yes, it is one way with which to develop those capabilities, but it's not the only way. That's what I'd say to that.
Sure. Okay, and it's hard to, how would you say specifically for women to develop those capabilities if it wasn't?
Women don't need those.
Women don't.
Do you think women need social skills?
No, I'm talking about women. I'm talking about as a guy who
how to
wants
build
to
that?
develop social skills,
Okay.
particularly around women. So maybe you can already talk to guys in the boardroom, you're confident around men, but you're not confident around women, and you want to become super confident around women. How do you do that without wasting hours of time talking to dumb hoes and nightclubs?
I think you need to embrace a little bit of misogyny. I think the reason that
Let's call it realism. Let's call it realism, please.
This is real. Like, you need to be a little bit misogynistic because maybe not the Western idea of this term, but like if you realize that most women are stupid and have nothing in their brains and they're programmed by some man, a lot of them are ran through, a lot of them are not going to add anything to your life. They're not going to be all autistic when you talk, because you don't really need their validation, right? If you just see them as like another person, like, hey, he's stupid, then you don't care, and then you get to talk to them like you would talk to like your friends, then that anxiety level drops. As long as that anxiety level's down and you talk to them like
So you're gonna take a nervous guy and say, "Hey, listen, nervous guy, I'm Sneeko, your pickup coach. Just remember that
why
you're
is he
talking
nervous?
to a women are intimidating to guys.
Exactly. So you need to embrace misogyny. He's intimidated by women because he thinks that the women that he's talking to are better than him.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start being misogynistic, you realize this is just a girl with a little tight dress on.
But you understand that just telling
She
him
bought this
that
at
can't
Shein.
unprogram. I agree with you, but how are you going to unprogram that from a guy who's just
Embrace misogyny.
Make men misogynistic again.
Make men misogynistic again. Exactly. Once you start to realize that these are just girls walking around with nothing in their heads, they just repeat what they
I
saw.
think you need to
Keeping up with the
experience them
Kardashians.
I would just say you need to experience them to realize that. You can't just realize that because Sneeko told you on a live stream.
I think it's one way to do it, but I also know men who are Muslims and who are virgins, and they have got game for days. They have completely seen that they are the ones with the value. They're the ones with the accolades. They're the ones who've
misogynistic.
struggled. They are realistic, and they in no way are in like, oh wow, it's a woman. She sits on something that I want to have access to. And these are very religious men. They have a lot of very powerful men around them. There are numerous ways to get over this whole mental thirst or physical thirst that a lot of men have, not just through dating and running through hundreds of women. There are many different ways to get there.
I would make the argument that some men can just be. I think Sneeko is born naturally confident. I just see that. I don't know. Maybe
No,
you're a
I had some
weirdo or-
autistic nerd too.
Everyone says that.
No,
Fuck
really,
you.
bro. I grew up like I look
Really?
like Chris Brown, kind of like light skin now. I grew up as the Asian dude with braces and glasses, like in
Fair enough,
yeah,
fair
in
enough.
Connecticut where it's mostly white. So I'm
Everyone
like,
thinks they're. I had my awkward
No,
phase. But your
100%.
awkward phase is probably less than the awkward
I had a
phase.
Blasian fro when I was Asian, like 100%. I walked in, people didn't know what race I
whatever.
was.
Bro, I
like,
got picked on as a kid. I was geeky. I was awkward.
Sure. Everyone think okay, but
I actually
what I'm
was,
saying
man.
is, I think there are some people who can get it through religion, who can get it through maybe they dominate in sports, maybe they dominate in business, and they can just get that confidence. And more power to them. If you don't have to waste the hours talking to hoes, then don't do it. I would make the argument that most guys probably need a little bit of that just to. And I think Myron, you would probably. I mean, you're an old school cold approach guy like
Yeah.
me, right? What are your thoughts on this?
It's a skill set that you should have. I think it's definitely a skill set you should have because, and here's the thing, Sneeko's been saying you got to embrace being misogynistic. I think you got to embrace being realistic, man. I don't think it's misogynistic because
Realism.
you don't hate women. I think it's more along the lines of you understand most of them are useless and they don't bring much value. And I agree with you. Most girls are literally useless because they never had to be useful. So, but a way that you're going to understand that. Because here's the thing. Some guys know that from watching this podcast because this stuff has become broadcasted. Some guys need to go out there and talk to a lot of women and figure out, damn, a lot of y'all really are retarded. What the hell am I doing here? So a lot of guys got to, put their hand on the stove and get burned. But yeah, I think it is a good skill set though, because if you can go ahead and generate a conversation with someone who's brain dead moron, right? It's going to make you a sharper individual in general. It's going to make you it's going to force you to be charismatic. It's going to force you to be charming. It's going to force you to be able to think under pressure, etc. So I think, and not necessarily it's about talking to the girl to like talk to the girl. I think the lessons learned and the skill sets learned from dealing with such a brain dead individual a lot of the times, and someone that's interesting that doesn't have hobbies, which most women are. Let's just keep it 1,000.
Like
most
a
girls
monologue sometimes. Not even a two-way conversation.
Yeah, it's literally so. Like, what'll end up happening is you will become more skilled at being charismatic and being able to control a conversation and dictate a conversation to a certain point. So I would look at it not necessarily as like I'm doing this to get the girl. Do it more as in I'm going to become better at telling stories. I'm going to become better at being charming. I'm going to be better at being charismatic, etc. Because this girl is because if you could do it with a girl who's brain dead, well, when you do find a girl that's not an idiot, it'll be even better.
Walking up to a group of strangers at a club and making them like you is a skill that can be used in all
it's a good
sorts of
skill.
things. You have to be dominant. You have to get their attention. You have to talk loudly.
Yeah.
You have to accept the burden of the conversation. And yeah, like you're gonna get rejected.
Using proper tonality.
People who thought I was a fucking weirdo and just couldn't wait for me to leave. You read those social cues and you go, nice meeting you, and then you leave.
Because a lot of guys,
it's a difficult thing.
And let me say this too, because and I'm really glad that you brought this up. So like with women, right? If I told a guy, in 20 years, you're going to have to get in a ring and fight someone who's a 10-degree black belt, right? what would you do? You'd probably train, right? You would go ahead and you go to the dojo, wax on, wax off. You'd hire your own Mr. Miyagi. You figure this out, right? But a lot of guys don't. And what ends up happening is I consider women black belts when it comes to social interaction, reading social dynamics, etc.
It's how they've stayed alive throughout the history.
Yeah, it's how they stay alive. So not only do they have the biological programming and evolution, they also get it because by the time they hit puberty, they get hit on by a bunch of weirdos. So women become very good at deciphering which guys are losers, which guys aren't, or which guys are good at putting up a certain image that they're that guy, right? So the point is they're able to identify it very quickly. So for men, most guys, even the guys that are out there that are the most charismatic, most charming, done the most approaches, they're not getting even a fraction of the same interaction that women do with the opposite gender. So guys really got to get out there and practice and talk. I'm not saying you got to get out there and talk to a million women, but you should have some semblance of how to start a conversation, hold a conversation, build the traction, etc.
You're talking about hoes, and I'm talking about women, because these women who have all the black belt and social interaction are hoes. Because they've dealt with all these different guys, they've slept with a bunch of guys, they've been to the club all the time.
But even girls that aren't hoes, like they've still been
talking.
Yeah, they're going to get approached. They just don't enact on it. I get what you're saying.
All hot girls, I mean, but in the Middle East, for example, if you get a girl who has a nice niqabi, that's the correct terminology. She's covered and she's waiting. You know, by the time
I can tell by the eyes, my friend.
Yeah,
that's different.
Just her eyes. You harvest your incel power until you're 32, right? Then you meet her father, and then she introduces, okay, this is my daughter. You'll have a halal marriage. She isn't corrupted yet. She's gonna fall into your frame because you're a made man. And then you get to bob and weave all the black. Like, why? I don't need to go talk to random people in Vegas, or I don't need to go and black belt these hoes.
But that model's better for society. That model that you're talking about, Sneeko, would be much better for society than all of this random casual sex that everyone's engaging in. Because let's be honest, casual sex breaks women. If you're engaging in a lot of casual sex as a man, you're doing something that's damaging for her, it's damaging for society.
But the problem is that, not enough people practice it. And then, you're going to have to go to a Sharia law country a lot of the times to be able to find a woman that has that, maybe a Saudi Arabia, maybe.
Taliban chat.
I'm going to be Muslim by the time
Taliban in the chat, let's go.
by the time 3 minutes.
But for everybody else, man, it's going to be tough for them to be able to do that. But yes, optimally, dude, that's the best way to go. A girl that you're meeting her with her brother there or her father there, and you have that conversation, that's the best way to do it. But are most guys going to have that? No, they're not going to have that opportunity.
Well, if you harvest your incel power until you're 32, then you can get there. See, instead of your 20s wasting around casual sex, dating, you're in the club all the time, you're wasting money, you get lonely, you're in the gym, you have to watch all this content. If you just harvest that energy into what you do, by the time you're ready to be married, you're going to be able to be the leader that girl needs.
You would have achieved a lot more.
Thing come from?
You know what it is? It's just
Where's
Islam.
this come from,
It's just Islam. This is exactly how every marriage works successfully in Islam.
You'll achieve a lot more if you take Sneeko's model over the chasing girls model. You'll get a lot more done with business, with fitness, with understanding the world, everything. Those hundreds of hours we spend on chasing women, I put it to you that it's a fairly low ROI in terms of building yourself as a man. If you take the Volcel pill, because it's not, bro, you are not involuntary celibate. I've seen the way women walk up to you. Let's be real here.
No, shout out to the incels, though. We're on the same team.
But if you take that time and energy and you put that into building yourself as a man, building your empire, your life is going to be better than just spending that chasing women. That's my opinion.
Maybe the most intelligent approach would be something kind of like what I do, which is I throw these parties, and not only full of a lot of beautiful women, there's some high net worth, high value guys there as well.
You're providing something a lot of people want.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean you have to go into a cocaine-filled nightclub in Las Vegas and stay up till 3 a.m. chasing hoes trying to put your dick in them. You could throw an amazing house party here in the penthouse. You're networking. You're building your network. I've met amazing business partners, guys who become clients here.
But again, your intent is not just to get your pee-pee wet. As Myron was saying, your intent is to better yourself as a man.
But you could also use that time to, while you're networking, while you're meeting, the guys and stuff. There's hot girls there. You're talking to hot girls, and maybe you have some type of filtering system where they, at the very least, don't have an OnlyFans link in their bio. You can't filter.
High standards, bro.
At the very least.
I think guys definitely got to get out there.
Miami, actually, for Miami and Medellin, those are. You've already separated yourself from 80-90% of the women by not having an OnlyFans. I mean, out of how many girls on your show on average do OnlyFans? I mean, it's out of control.
A lot. There's 30, at least if we got 10 girls, at least 2 or 3 of them do it.
But you see that how that be a smart approach. You're throwing parties, you're building your networking skills, you're providing value, you're maybe making money from the parties. There's guys and girls. You're just being social in general.
Makes sense.
And then you can kind of have the best of both worlds. You're not wasting time on hoes, but you are actively lifting weights for your social muscles by creating that.
Makes sense. And let's be honest, man, beautiful women, virtuous women are one of the most highly sought after things that men
Today's
want.
day and age,
globally.
yeah.
And throughout history, you know, how many presidents, how
hard
many
to find.
kings have lost their empires because of a pretty lady? So if you're the sort of guy who's comfortable around pretty ladies, there's definite utility there. I see that. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely important to, you know, because the thing is, a lot of guys are like socially weird and strange, and they can't pick up cues. So they got to get out there and talk to people, men, women, be social to a degree. Because the thing is, if you just stay inside all the time and you just do nothing but work, and you don't talk to people, then you're going to be very socially strange. And then people are going to think you're a weirdo. You're not going to be able to attract a girl because
Porn and video games.
Yeah, you got to get out there and still talk to people. And guys, it could be as simple as like just talking to someone in the elevator and generating a conversation. It could be as, you could talk to a woman without it being sexual. You could just start up a conversation, have it going, practice on that, and then bam. And then the point is that you don't want analysis by paralysis where you see an attractive girl or you see someone and you can't even carry a conversation because you're so nervous. You want to be in a position where, number one, you're able to talk to people. Number two, you don't put women on a pedestal. And a good way to do that is by talking to them all the time. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm desensitized to this. I can do this. And then boom, there you go.
The casual, yeah, I was just going to say casual
But I like
sex.
the differing opinions here. This is great. This is great discussion.
Casual sex is one of the most destructive things to society. Men, we get the privilege of not letting it corrupt your soul because it doesn't have the same effect. But for women, the more penis she's had, the more corrupted
damaging.
she becomes. It's like it takes away at her soul every single pump. It makes it and we've all had this situation before where you've been with virgins before, right? You see a virgin in front of you, she's innocent, she's beautiful, and you're like, I got a virgin, and you kind of rub your hands together like Satan because you know what you're doing inherently deep down is bad. Because what you're doing is you're taking a bit of away. Now you are attaching her soul to yours forever. For you don't care. As soon as you're done, you pull up your pants, you walk out of the room. But in that moment, she is tied to you for the rest of your life. And you know that you're just there for 5 seconds. And we've had that moment, and I've done it before. I mean, I'm trying to be better. But you look at this girl and you're like, right now I could ruin her, or I can do the right thing. And you do end up ruining her because she knows that she's giving away her innocence forever. Now she's let her marriage material, her value is intrinsically lower for the rest of her life. It's never something you can get back. Men, it doesn't matter. Women don't care how many bodies you have, but you are taking away a girl's innocence the more you have casual sex with her. And you know deep down that you don't care about her at all and she's deeply in love with you. It's really sick.
Well, that's part of the reason why I don't really believe in dating and I don't date. I think and I've actually been in situations where I've seen a good girl, been across the dinner table and gone, you know what? I don't have the intention of taking care of you forever, so I'm not going to get sexual with you because that would lessen your ability to find a man you can then respect and submit to and build a happy family and be a happy person. I've disengaged just out of the fact that I don't want to break a person because I think it's very real, especially if you're a masculine guy and you leave that solid imprint on a girl. Man, she's going to be stuck on you forever. We all have those girls still chasing us now, because
Alpha widow.
It's real. So I think pursuing casual sex, especially with good girls,
Sneak on
I
us.
think there's a negative impact on her and on society as a result.